has 70 million followers in social media, 20 million monthly listeners, and he's considered the #1 DJ in Latin America. Please, everyone, welcome Alok.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. How are you? You've been touring like crazy. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling homesick, to be honest.
I guess.
It's just tough for me because now I have 2 kids.
Yeah.
And I miss them so much. So it's been complicated. But and I have to extend my trip for 1 more week because I'm going to shoot a campaign next week in LA. But in the end, I'm doing what I love, and there's a meaning behind it,
And I guess that if you don't see your kids like for 2 weeks, then you see them again and they grew a lot, right?
Exactly. And my son has 3, my daughter has 2. They're actually only 10 months of difference. Like
Wow.
I had my boy in January 2020 and my
Wow.
daughter in December 2020.
Oh, wow, you had fun during the pandemic.
Yeah,
You were busy.
But my daughter, she was born premature. That's why she got a bit earlier. But yeah, even though it's still very rushy.
Totally. Well, I guess that the word made you stop and you used that time like in a very positive way.
Yeah, exactly.
And
We always had the dream to have kids. We wanted to have twins because I have a twin brother. And I think it's very interesting to grow up with someone to share, and we almost got twins.
Almost, yeah. 10 months is nothing.
Yeah.
It's so nice. Well, first of all, I want to talk about all the collaborations you did. You worked with huge musicians from all over the world. But right now, let's start with James Arthur.
Mm-hmm.
How was that collaboration? How did it happen? And how did you make a romantic pop singer clubbing?
It's interesting. There's many songs that I did that I never released. And there are songs that I produced 2 years ago and now am releasing now. So it's really about I'm going with the flow. I never think that if I'm doing some stuff by my own, I will lose it. It's never like a work that we cannot use in the future. So this song with James Arthur, that was something that I started a long time ago, and then I never really got the right match to do it, and then finally we got it. So it's and then he cut it very well because we were trying to get a singer that could cut well the song. We tried a few, but he did a great one. Yeah.
He's super.
He did it great.
Nice.
Sometimes sometimes people are very talented, but for a specific song it just doesn't match.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge, But it would work.
And you also did remixes with artists like Dua Lipa, Ed Sheeran, Tablo. Jason Derulo.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because it's like they're looking for me to do a new version of their songs to work in the clubs and stuff. So I always do when I do remix, I try to find this balance between how can I not the original song.
Yeah, lose their essence.
Exactly.
Right?
And how can I do something that for them, what they're looking for is how it could work in the club scene.
Totally.
Yeah. But that's when I do remix. But when I do original stuff, I usually do more thinking about what could work on radios and Spotify and everywhere,
Yeah. And now that we can dream, right? Do you have any dream collaborations? I'm sure they are watching us. Just say it. Who do you like to collaborate with in the future?
To be honest, I am already, actually living the dream because I always wanted to collaborate with the indigenous people in Brazil.
Yeah.
And I'm producing my first album inspired by the indigenous roots. And it's being super interesting, moment in my life to do this collaboration because I feel that I can be a platform to potentialize their voices through my music, and it was very funny. I mean, imagine imagine bringing 8 different tribes all over Brazil to a studio in the middle of the mountains, and there were some indigenous that the nearest airport of their tribe is 2 weeks of traveling.
2 weeks?
Yeah, because you don't have ground transportation. You don't have you have to go in the forest. It's So it's actually even nearby a place where the Dom and Philip they were murdered in Brazil. I don't know if you remember about this. No, they were
not
trying
really.
to bring awareness about some wrong stuff that were going on,
Wow.
and they got murdered. But anyway, it was a very challenged kind of situation to produce this album, and then it's like I was listening to one of their songs and I was very impressed. I said, okay, when did you guys produce this one? Because it's very nice. And it's like, this one, as we remember, has 500 years old. So it's a lot of responsibility, as well
Of
to kind of
course.
work on this. And this is the
And you are
project.
making like the electronic version of this music?
It has the electronic, but it has also the pop. I don't like to limit my creativity, so I also have like a trap. I
Wow.
didn't. Yeah, I think like I don't want to live inside a box. I
Of course.
go wherever my creativity goes, so I go with the flow.
And I guess that this new album has to do with your institution, Alok,
Yes,
and
it
all
has
the
also
movement you are doing to help people in Brazil, in Africa,
in India.
in India too.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Would you like to talk about that? I'm so
Yeah, sure.
impressed about it.
Okay, it's like I never had this kind of mindset about doing philanthropy. It wasn't something. I think I also had to really work hard every month to survive the month. With the family I came with, so I never had this kind of thought. And then in some moment in my life, I was just complaining too much about like everything, and I was living like a depressive moment. So I went to a very isolated indigenous tribe to look for inspiration, and it was like a very long trip. I would say 2 flights, 13 hours in a road, and then 9 hours in a very small canoa. And I got there, spent 10 days.
9 hours
them.
in the canoa?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's like Brazil, but 100 kilometers from Peru. So it's very in the middle of. It's in the heart of Amazon.
Wow.
And I was looking for inspiration, but I had a very deep transformation in many aspects in my life, like on the music side, on the professional side, on the personal side, spiritual. Because in the end, like we're doing music nowadays that we know that if we don't release it now, we know that it won't work after 6 months because it's disposable. You know what I mean? Sometimes
I
how
get
the
it,
music industry
absolutely.
works when they're doing music to heal people,
Uh-huh.
It's really about like doing something that's timeless. So I got I got like a genuine connection with the nature and everything. So after that, I went to Africa, and there where I like kind of found God. So I wanted like to have a meaning in my life. So I started the institute, so that I could, with my visibility and success, do something that matters. 2019, I was invited to become a character in the most downloaded game in the world called Free
Yeah.
Fire, and
I was going to ask you about that too, of course.
that's where came the institute. I'll explain why. So when they asked me which superpower I wanted to have, I said like, okay, can I heal people? Is that possible? What I learned with the indigenous in the past, and they said like, yes, but are you sure this is like a shooting game? So yes, I am. So my character became the bestseller, not because of
Wow.
myself, just because of this superpower that really changed the dynamic of the game. And after that, it came Cristiano Ronaldo, BTS, Justin Bieber, but no one beat it. Like, because of
Wow.
the superpower. So I got a very nice amount of money about it from the character, the royalties, and I wanted to heal inside and outside the game as well. So I gave up all my royalties to charities. So I built up my institute in Brazil. I also did the work in Africa, where we have a project called Fraternities Without Border, and India. I wish I could do it more, but those are the three
It's a great
specific
beginning.
markets
Hey.
that yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, I mean it's very interesting, like how the institute works, because they have three assets, which is like first is the money, right? It's
Yeah.
energy. Second is the co-creation of projects. So we always co-create together, because we're not an institution where we bring people there and we do like some stuff. Like we actually potentialize project that already exists. So we have very few people working, but we work with like intelligence on different projects around the world. And the third asset would be my image, which I also
Yeah.
can bring awareness about any stuff that's going on. So So yeah, I mean, it's kind of I had three sons in 2020. My son Ravi, my daughter Haika, and my institute.
Wow. So the pandemic for you was fantastic.
It was.
I think it's so interesting about your video game is like most of the video games are about killing people, and these kids are all day. Not only kids, like grown up as well, like playing that games all day, and having the chance to put in their minds healing. It changes everything.
Yeah.
Even in their subconscious.
Yes, absolutely. It's
And
like,
I saw you also live stream, right?
yes, I did a lot of live stream during the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Of course, now when it came back, the shows and routine, I can't match those things together. But it was interesting to be connected with the gaming community because we live in a very, it's a new generation where they're not really looking at the main vehicles of communication anymore. They consume their own ecosystem. So they're not really aware of because beforehand we were always conducted by the main vehicles, right?
Yes.
And now it's totally decentralized. And if you want to get them in a very genuine way, you have to be on their ecosystem. So it was very interesting to realize where this new generation are going to, what they're thinking, and it was very important because actually Free Fire has why is it the most downloaded game in the world? Because it's the most accessible game in the world. You can play in any mobile phone. You don't need a PlayStation. You don't need a computer.
Yeah.
So that's why it's very big in Brazil, South America, India, Indonesia, Thailand, But countries that they have more money to buy computers and PlayStation, they do not play much Free Fire. So US, Europe, and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that I could access so many different places. Also in our Brazilian communities. It was very interesting.
And I heard something about the documentary. Does it have something to do with this?
The documentary is actually because when I started to produce the album with the Indigenous, we also we are also shooting everything, right?
Oh, so you have videos in the canoa for 9 hours?
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Absolutely, I do. Yeah, of course. I have many other stuff that happened. But yes, so basically we're shooting everything, and the project started as an album, but it became a movement. So after we didn't even release the album yet, but we already did a performance at Global Citizen at the opening ceremony. We did a performance at UN on the Climate Week, the Climate Change Week, and there's a lot of things going on actually on the project, but we didn't even release the album. It's interesting. As I said, it's not about my album. It's about how can I be a platform for them.
Absolutely.
We need protagonists, we can have their wisdom, because we're always talking about the climate change and stuff, but we're very disconnected with the forest. So bring them to their wisdom is very important.
I think it's related to this. A few years ago, you were trying to go vegetarian. Are you there yet?
No.
How are you? No.
It's
you have Brazil in your blood so much, right?
Yeah, but
the culture.
I think it's all about a balance,
Yeah.
Because when you live in the road, it's too complicated to keep a straight kind of routine of what you eat.
For diet, yeah.
And a diet, and sometimes if you don't eat, for example, the meat, like fish or whatever, chicken, you have only bread, for example.
Yeah.
So it's
Absolutely.
complicated. So,
Yeah.
But it's all about balance. It's all about eating with consciousness. So every time I can avoid, I do, but when I cannot, I eat.
Makes sense.
Makes sense, right?
Yeah. You travel all over the world. You played in the biggest music festivals. Where was the most exotic or remotely country that you've ever played?
The world is always changing so fast.
Yeah.
So you go to a place and then you think you know it, and then after 5 years you go back, it's totally different. Everything is changing so fast. So.
The musicians from all over the world, they always love the South American crowd. Like Brazil, Argentina, they always say oh, Argentina and Brazil, they always
Chile.
said that. Well, Chile is we are so passionate in South America.
Yeah.
So how did you live that difference? Because you started in Brazil with that crazy crowd, and then maybe you came to the States where everybody is more like maybe organized or polite.
The festival I played 2 days ago, they were very excited as well. It was very intense, and I think it's like this new generation. They're they're kind of very into it, and they party hard. They party in a
They
way
party
that,
hard,
they party.
okay.
So it was, yeah. But of course, like every place have a very specific, how I would say, identity. Like
Yeah.
it's very singular every place I go. So I do change a lot my set everywhere I am at.
Yeah.
Totally different. So even here in US, like I did 3 shows in one day, which was Vancouver and then Vegas and then the Festival Beyond Wonderland. The 3 of them were totally different sets.
I guess.
Because one was on a nightclub, the other one was a pool party.
Wow,
It's different
yes,
atmosphere.
different vibe.
One have laser and stuff, other has like nothing. It's
Yeah.
like people. And then the third one is a huge festival where you play only for 1 hour, so you have to be very dynamic. But in the same way, people there wants to be surprised.
Yeah.
They don't want you to play what they've heard already everywhere.
Absolutely,
They're
yes.
looking for something new. But in the club, they want to listen to your hits.
Yeah.
So it's totally different, and it's 3 parties in US. But when I go to Brazil, it's another set. When I
Another
go to
thing.
Japan, it's another set.
I guess.
But I always bring my personality.
Of course.
It's always there. You can always relate with me, but I'm just trying to adapt myself everywhere.
And how are you communicated with your audience, your crowd, your followers? How is your relationship with them?
I think it's a very, very, very genuine way to connect with them, because if something's happening with me, they know straight away. I'm not someone that posts everything that happens in my life, and I don't do much posts where people know that I'm like, if I do something that's fake,
Yeah.
to promote a brand or something which is not true, my truth, it won't work at all. So that's why I do
Yeah.
not connect with brands that doesn't make a real connection with me, because it's really about being very truthful with your fans and who follow
Absolutely.
you.
And that's why they
sometimes-
follow you.
Yeah, and I just don't like to post everything I'm doing. So
Yeah.
that's why Louis is here with me recording everything, and then he sends me like a video done. I said, okay, I'll post it, But
Yeah, I didn't see you editing on the plane. All the videos, too much.
Yeah, exactly. But he has he has a commercial perspective which works
Yeah.
well for us.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I just try to be very honest with everyone the whole time, and if I have something to share which is not related with music, whatever, I go there and share it, and it connects people. Like for example, last year I wrote a letter that I was kind of depressed with a lot of negative thoughts. I was, feeling, and I didn't want to share my problems with the world, because I think the world has too much problems already. People have too much problem to deal with. Who am I to share mine? But at the end, I realized that we can connect with people through our pain.
Yeah.
And it was very nice, because people don't see me like people look at me as a human, like
Yes.
them.
Absolutely. They feel like I identify with you.
Exactly.
Maybe they are going through something similar, and
Yeah, everyone have mental health problems in the end,
Yeah.
sometime in life.
And I like when men talk about that, because it's like in the past it was like, oh no, men are
Can't
tough,
suffer, can't
and
cry,
it's
yeah.
nice when a man like really accept that he's going through some mental health things and talk about it and do something to resolve
'cause
it.
this, I don't know if you say English, but it's masculine.
Masculino.
I
I
would
guess
say
in
that's
English,
the
masculine,
masculine
yeah.
thoughts, right?
Yeah.
It's toxic stuff. Doesn't affect only the women. It affects
Absolutely.
most of the men, because they feel this
Absolutely,
huge
yeah.
pressure
Yeah.
of having to be, something that, and like and this is the big problem because a lot of men, they just don't share their feelings, and then they just go and commit suicide or whatever it is.
Totally.
I had
Or they are so stressed they have a heart attack or
Exactly.
something like that.
Something will, yeah, will
Yeah.
happen. At the end of the day, it will happen. And I had a few depressions in my life, so it's something that for me it's part of my life. So it's authentic.
Yeah.
So I know that I've been there to this very dark place, and I know that I can help people that are there, because in the end,
Totally.
you can move around. You can get away with it.
That's a very nice message. How is this tour continuing? Where are you going next? When are you coming home?
So I will extend here for 1 more week. So I'm going to be here for the next 2 weeks, and then I go back to Brazil. Because my home nowadays, to be honest, is the hotels and airplanes.
Of course, yes.
But I will go back to Brazil. I will spend 2 weeks, and then I head out to Europe again. And I come to US again, and I go to Guatemala, and then I go back to Brazil, and I'm lost already.
Wow. Well, you have a very exciting
going to
year
China as well,
coming
yeah.
up. China, around the corner. Thank you, Alok.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. What's up? My name is Alok. You just been buzzed.